Hello and welcome to Clipping In. Tuesday, the 14th of January, and it's time for the first ride of the year. Any longer and I'd have needed stabilizer wheels. Finally, there's been some movement in this winter snap. Temperatures are up to 4, 5, even 6 Celsius. And the snow and ice, whilst they're still in the fields, you can maybe see there, and on some of the pavements, the roads are more or less okay. Today I'm just putting a couple of hours in on local roads, and the eagle-eyed will have seen I'm out on my do-it-all rock hopper with the Marathon Plus heavy-duty touring tyres. I would have picked a road bike, but I saw even on my street this morning there were quite a few awkward little patches of decaying snow ice, possibly where cars have been parked and so on, but I thought, nah, for this ride, play it safe and just get outside, get a couple of hours in. Notice I say hours and not miles. You can't really gauge miles and mileage when you start using bikes like this. You're waving goodbye to 3 or 4 miles an hour over a normal road bike. So whilst I'm on the topic of relative difficulty and perceived effort, I saw something a couple of nights ago on Road CC where someone had made a bold statement saying they don't give kudos, that's sort of Strava version of a like, to activities which are indoors, specifically indoor cycling. They say it's not proper cycling, it's not real cycling, and therefore they won't give kudos. I thought, this has got to be a troll post. Has to be, with all the bad weather. But surprisingly, there were a few people in the reply comments that took them to task over this. You know, come on, it's 2025, that kind of thing. But also surprisingly, there were quite a lot defending that point of view and going to some length to explain why they hold that opinion too. People saying, you know, oh, indoor cycling is simply turning pedals. It has nothing in common with the cycling that I love. It's not real. There's no skill to it. It's just turning your legs round. Now, okay, you can see a kind of reductionism taken to extremes there. But what I thought was very interesting is that people are awarding kudos for someone else's activity based on whether they either think it's worthy or whether they would like to do it themselves. And I don't think, on that second point, I don't think that is the idea of kudos. You know, with a sort of an athletic social media like Strava, I always think if someone's weight training, Pilates, going jogging, going on a long dog walk, or doing indoor bike or whatever, even if they're doing windsurfing, you know, it's activity, it's endeavour, they're striving, and you know, it's got to be far better and worth the encouragement than somebody sitting on a sofa watching TV after they've obviously caught up with Clipping In's latest editions. So I can't relate to that idea that they'd only give it a thumbs up, a kudos, if it's something that they would enjoy doing. And on the first point, it's interesting that where else do they make this judgment? You know, do they scrutinise your rides and say, oh, 55% FTP, what a slacker? I'm not giving him a thumbs up. I've never really thought about it before, because I look upon it as, you know, doling out encouragement. On my Strava, yeah, the kudos flies around. It's like a custard pie fight from a 1920s movie. I suppose another example on that topic of someone making close assessments before a rewarding activity. I don't have a car, so if I want to go to a supermarket for a bit of variety over the village supermarket, I have to go really on a bike or public transport. So the bike's the obvious choice, and I'll either go to Halifax, round trip of about 9.5 miles, or Huddersfield, which is about 18. Ride there, put up with the traffic, stop start, lock up, take my seat post out, fill my rucksack with bourbon creams, and repeat the process coming home. I don't record these rides at all. I don't see the point of logging that kind of ride, so they don't appear. But if I were to post those rides, would the critical kudos distributors regard that, because it's an outdoor ride and I suppose it has some green credentials, would they regard that as more kudos worthy than going on the turbo indoor riding and maybe doing, I don't know, 4 times 10 minutes at FTP with short recovery? One of those sessions is far harder to complete than the other, but it's indoors. I'd say I was surprised by it, I really was. I can only think that they're either a troll and the troll army backing them up, or a super traditionalist, or maybe they failed to get the festive 500 and they finished behind lots of people who were doing it indoors. A simmering grudge, resentment over the festive 500, it's possible. You can see the state of the pavements and footpaths here, not good. And even here, look, in the cycle lane, half of it's taken up by dirty old snow ice. Now, one of the improvements last year is creating that funnel there on the left. Look how icy that is. You're meant to ride on that. Needless to say, I'm not. Final lap for me, dropping down the new road towards Clifton, looking over towards Brighouse, right of centre. Not bad at all. I often take this little circuit for granted. It's just the local 4.25–4.5 mile circuit. I'm short of time, come out, put some miles into this, but then you remember what a great little circuit it is, and there's so much variety. That's the 2 hours almost in the bag. Time for signing off for this outing. Temperatures have risen, I would guess maybe 3 or 4 degrees over the course of this ride. Good sign. So hopefully keeps like this, and later in the week there'll be a longer outing, maybe even mixed surfaces, who knows. Right, for this definitely kudos worthy edition of Clipping In, it's goodbye, and see you very soon somewhere back out in Yorkshire. Bye bye.